Ben, the president drew the red line. He reinforced it many times. Yet he himself did not address this issue that the red line had been crossed yesterday, and he's not here today. No disrespect to the other three of you, but this is the president's red line. What would you say to those who might think that this is not such a big deal because the president's not giving voice to this theoretically significant event? And even your own inability to describe with any specificity the arms that are being going to the rebels, this sounds like an incremental policy change that the president, by not talking about it himself, is sort of keeping his arm's length from.
Well, Major, I think what I'd say to that is the situation in Syria is an ongoing challenge, and the president has repeated opportunities to speak to it. I'm certain he's going to have opportunities to speak to it, for instance, over the course of the several days that he'll be traveling to Europe. He himself is the one who laid out the red line publicly. But again, people have to understand that this is a very fluid and dynamic situation, and the situation on the ground will have its own twists and turns. Our own policy has been one of incrementally increased support for the opposition, efforts to pressure the Assad regime. But this is not something that's going to be resolved with the turn of a switch. And so we've made clear what our policy objectives are. We believe that articulating those objectives can give people an understanding of what we're trying to achieve in terms of, again, strengthening the SMC in Syria, strengthening the opposition. It just, in situations like this, spelling out the underlying details or the itemization of material that may be going to the opposition is not something we do as a general matter. But you can fully expect that the president will be heard on these issues repeatedly in the coming days. The announcement we made yesterday very much reflected his guidance, because he was the one who directed the intelligence community to pull together this assessment and directed us to make it public.
Just one more. It's clear from those who are fighting that it's taken a long time for some of the aid that's already been announced to get there. And you acknowledged in the conference call yesterday, even though you have these open pipelines, there are and have been bottlenecks. Isn't it worth assuming that it will be at least a couple of months before any of this other aid arrives, because the bottlenecks are real, because the transit points are weak? And might that not be far, far too late?
I would not make that assumption, because frankly, it's true that there have been, there have been times in which we couldn't move assistance quite as fast as we would have liked. But we've had opportunities over the course of the last several months to get better at establishing pipelines into the country. So we believe that our own efforts have improved in terms of streamlining the means by which we can work with some neighboring states to supply assistance into Syria. So I think we have essentially an established pipeline and established lines of communication and assistance that allow us to take additional types of assistance and put that into that pipeline. So we're comfortable and confident that given the work that we've already done, that we can flow assistance in at a relatively in a relatively timely manner.